A very good morning to all. Today we are going to start the chapter number 3, Plant Kingdom. In the previous chapter, we have studied about the broad classification of living organisms under the system proposed by R.H. Whitaker in 1969. He suggested 5 kingdom classification: Kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Animalia, and Plantae. So in this chapter, we are going to deal with the classification within the kingdom Plantae, or you can call it plant kingdom. As we know that in previous classifications, fungi and member of Monera and Protista are including in kingdom Plantae, but as they are having the cell wall. But now these are excluded from kingdom Plantae. Same with the cyanobacteria, that is also known as blue-green algae, that is not considered an algae because of its some characteristics. So now in this chapter, we are going to describe the kingdom Plantae under algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperm, and angiosperm. So for this classification, so many systems are considered for the classification of kingdom Plantae. Out of that, the first one is artificial system of classification. The artificial system of classification is the earliest system of classification that use the superficial morphological characters such as we can say the habit of the plant, the habitat of the plant, the colors and number and the shapes of the leaves, etc. Or you can say it can classify under the morphological, or you can say the physical looks that you can easily see. So the artificial system is based mainly on the vegetative characters or on the androecium structure as it is suggested by Linnaeus. They separated the closely related species since they were based on few characteristics, and the artificial system gave equal weightage to the vegetative as well as sexual characteristics, but this is not acceptable since we know that the vegetative characteristics are easily affected by the environment. So, for example, the Linnaeus classification of plant is based on the number of androecium in the plant. Okay, so what is this androecium? Androecium means the male reproductive part of the plant. So what are the drawbacks of the artificial system? The main drawback of the artificial system is it does not study homology, or you can say it does not study the origin of a particular organ. Then it depends only on one or two morphological traits, means the physical traits. ये सिर्फ एक या दो physical traits के ऊपर depend करती थी. There is no evolutionary relationship is considered. So the evolutionary means the resemblance to the primitive one, or you can say the ancestor. So there is no relationship with the ancestor is considered in this type of classification. The next system of classification is natural system of classification. It is based on natural characteristics, or you can say the natural affinities among the organisms, or you can say the number of characteristics that are easily compared. The natural system of classification is consider not only the external feature but the internal features also, or you can say ये सिर्फ ऊपर की morphology study नहीं करती, अंदर वाले features को भी study कर रही है. For example, we can say it can be based on ultrastructure, the anatomy, embryology, and phytochemistry. The characters are helpful in bringing out maximum number of similarities in a group. It shows a comparable difference between the group. Okay, तो नेचुरल सिस्टम किसके ऊपर डिपेंड कर रहा है? ये डिपेंड कर रहा है कितने नंबर ऑफ करेक्टरिस्टिक्स आपस में कंपेयर किए गए। सिर्फ एक्सटर्नल फीचर नहीं, इंटरनल फीचर्स को भी कंपेयर किया गया, जिसके कारण क्या है, मैक्सिमम सिमिलैरिटीज एक ग्रुप में क्या आई, उसके बेसिस पे क्लासिफिकेशन है, और दो ग्रुप्स के बीच में क्या डिफरेंसेस हुए, उसके बीच ऊपर भी क्लासिफिकेशन डिपेंड करता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ फ्लावरिंग प्लांट इज डन बाय Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. Now a question arises, why natural system of classification is better than the artificial system of classification? The natural system of classification study each and every organism, whereas the artificial does not. The comparative study is performed by natural classification, whereas the artificial system does not show any comparative study in between the organisms. Okay, we can say नेचुरल क्लासिफिकेशन में हर एक ऑर्गेनिज्म को, अगर हम यहाँ प्लांट सिस्टम की बात कर रहे हैं तो प्लांट किंगडम के हर एक प्लांट को स्टडी किया जाएगा, लेकिन आर्टिफिशियल में ऐसा नहीं था। देन नेचुरल सिस्टम कंपैरिजन करता है दो ऑर्गेनिजम्स के बीच में, दो प्लांट्स के बीच में कंपैरिजन करके उसके हिसाब से ग्रुपिंग करता है, लेकिन आर्टिफिशियल सिस्टम में ऐसा नहीं था। The natural relationship among the group are considered in natural system of classification, and the related organisms are placed in a single group, whereas it prevents coming together of unrelated organism. लेकिन artificial system जो कि ऊपरी morphology देखकर ही सिर्फ जो है क्लासिफाई किया गया था, तो उसके अंदर कई बार क्या हुआ कि अनरिलेटेड ऑर्गेनिजम्स भी जो है एक ग्रुप के अंदर प्रेजेंट है। So that's why the natural system of classification is better than the artificial system of classification. The next system of classification is natural system of classification. The third system of classification is also known as phylogenetic system of classification. This is the system that is based on evolutionary relationship, or you can say the genetic affinities of the plants. Okay, so this is the classification that is completely based on the Darwin books that is on the origin of the species by means of natural selection, that is written in 1859. So according to this system of classification, it is assumed that all the organisms, or you can say the plants, belong to the same taxa because they have a common ancestor. So we can say this system of classification is performed to classify plant from the simple to complex genetic and ancestor relationship. Okay, so that's why this system is the best system for the classification. Now, what is the difference between the natural and phylogenetic classification? The natural classification, or you can say the natural system of classification, is based on the resemblance and the difference among the organisms. Natural किसके ऊपर बेस्ड था? वो सिर्फ किसी दो organisms की कितनी रिजेम्बलेंस है और कितना डिफरेंस है उनके बीच में, उसके ऊपर बेस्ड था। लेकिन जो फाइलोजेनेटिक सिस्टम है क्लासिफिकेशन का, वो डिपेंड करता है सिर्फ इवोल्यूशन के ऊपर, मींस एंसेस्टर के साथ में कितना इंटर रिलेशनशिप प्रेजेंट है। नेचुरल सिस्टम ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन में देयर इज नो, और यू कैन से अ लिटिल रोल ऑफ फॉसिल्स आर देयर। फॉसिल्स को इतना स्टडी नहीं किया जाता था क्योंकि वो एंसेस्टर के साथ में रिलेशनशिप शो करते ही नहीं। Whereas in phylogenetic, fossils play a vital role. Why? Because it shows the evolutionary relationship to the ancestors. Natural is more practical as well as compared to the phylogenetic. Phylogenetic is less comparable because the organism have both primitive and the advanced character, and sometimes the fossil records are also not found. Recently, few additional criteria and methods are employed in classifying organisms to avoid the difficulties that is established during the phylogenetic classification, or you can say that established to show the evolutionary relationship between the two organisms as there is no fossils evidence. So the first one is that is numerical taxonomy. This uses the numeric techniques for evolution of similarities and dissimilarities between the species. It is carried out using computer and completely based on observable characteristics. Some number and codes are assigned to the character and then data is processed. In this way, each character is given equal importance. At the same time, hundred of character can be considered. Okay? क्या कह सकते हैं हम कि जो हमने पहले जितनी भी क्लासिफिकेशन सिस्टम पढ़ा उनके अलावा भी हमारे पास कुछ और टेक्निक्स है क्लासिफिकेशन के लिए, जिसमें से फर्स्ट है न्यूमेरिक टेक्सोनोमी, जो किसके ऊपर बेस्ड है, वो बेस्ड है उस डाटा के ऊपर जो कंप्यूटर्स को यूज करके हम ऑब्जर्वेबल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, जो हमें कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स इजीली फाइंड आउट हो सकती हैं, उसके ऊपर बेस्ड है। इसमें क्या किया जाता है, कुछ नंबर और कुछ कोड असाइन कर देते हैं जो कि कंप्यूटर प्रोसेस करेगा और हर एक डाटा को इक्वल इंपॉर्टेंस देगा, हर एक करेक्टर को इक्वल इंपॉर्टेंस देगा, even if we are studying the hundreds of the characteristics. The next type of taxonomy is cytotaxonomy. It is completely based on cytological information. Cytological means the cellular information, as you can say the information that is present inside a cell. It involves the number of chromosomes, the structure of the cells, the behavior of the cells, the behavior of the chromosome at the time of classification. So in every species, we know that there is a different number of chromosomes. Okay. For example, if we are talking about human being, we are having a 46 number of chromosome in a cell, whereas in potato, it has 48 number of chromosome. And the size of the chromosomes is always different in different type of plants. For example, the size of chromosome is smaller in herbaceous plant than the larger woody plant. So the relationship between among the different species is clear by the pairing of these chromosomes. So cytotaxonomy किसके ऊपर based है? ये based है cytological means cellular information पे। वो information क्या है? क्रोमोसोम का कितना नंबर है, क्रोमोसोम का स्ट्रक्चर कैसा है, क्रोमोसोम का बिहेवियर क्या है। क्यों? क्योंकि हर एक ऑर्गेनिज्म के अंदर नंबर ऑफ क्रोमोसोम डिफरेंट होता है। फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर हम ह्यूमन की बात करें, हमारे अंदर 46 नंबर्स ऑफ क्रोमोसोम्स प्रेजेंट हैं, वेयर एज इन पोटैटो, it is a plant, it has 48 number of chromosomes. Okay. The third type of taxonomy is chemotaxonomy. It is completely based on chemical constituent, as chemo here means chemical. Okay. So this type of technology is completely based on the chemical constituent of the plant. Such characters like we can say the fragrance, the taste that have show the stability, ये easily change नहीं हो सकते। किसी भी प्लांट के फ्रेगनेंस, उसकी खुशबू, उसका टेस्ट इतनी किसी भी एनवायरमेंटल कंडीशन में इजीली चेंज नहीं हो सकते। तो these are the characteristics that can be shown for the chemicals. तो ये chemicals आपके क्या हो सकते हैं, या आपके कुछ कंपाउंड्स हो सकते हैं। फॉर एग्जांपल कैल्शियम हो सकता है, सल्फर हो सकता है, किसी भी टाइप का कंपाउंड, or even we can say the DNA sequencing is also considered in the chemical taxonomy. Okay, DNA, the structure of protein, ये सारे कहाँ यूज हो सकते हैं? ये कीमोटैक्सोनॉमी के अंदर यूज हो सकते हैं. So till now we have studied about the different classification system, that is artificial, natural and phylogenetic classification, as well as some some or more classification that is based on numerical taxonomy, the phylogenetic taxonomy, the cytotaxonomy and chemotaxonomy. Now, let us consider the common characteristics of kingdom plantae. As you have studied in lower classes, that the plant cells are having cell wall that is continuous over the cell membrane. So, plant kingdom is a multicellular eukaryotes with the cell wall. There is a presence of vacuole. It may be a large one, because it is a property of a plant cells that it contains a large vacuole that occupy near about 90 to 95% of the space of the cell. It contains photosynthetic pigment, chlorophyll, that is present in plastid. Okay, plastid is an organelle that gives color to the plant. प्लास्टिड में डिफरेंट टाइप्स हैं आपका, जिसमें क्लोरोफिल मेन है जो कि एक फोटोसिंथेटिक पिगमेंट है जो फोटोसिंथेसिस में हेल्प करता है. The mode of nutrition is autotrophic, means they prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. The plant kingdom are non-motile. Non-motile means they are not able to show locomotion. वो एक जगह से दूसरी जगह नहीं जा सकते. And anchored with the substrate, किसी ना किसी तरीके से ये substrate कहीं ना कहीं जुड़े हुए हैं, जिसके कारण ये एक जगह से दूसरी जगह मूव नहीं कर सकते हैं. It shows structural differentiation that help in the development of various organelles. The kingdom plantae usually reproduce by sexual mean of reproduction. On the basis of various character, we can differentiate, or you can say classify, the kingdom plantae into various divisions. And these mainly various divisions are Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperm and Angiosperm. So these are the main 5 kingdom division that we are going to study in this chapter. The first one is division Thallophyta, second is division Bryophyta, third one is division Pteridophyta, fourth division is Gymnosperm and fifth one is Angiosperm. So we can classify the plants with the help of some particular characteristics. The first one is whether the plant is differentiated into the various body parts. Okay, body parts means अलग अलग parts, उनके root, shoot, leaves differentiated है या नहीं है, उसके basis पे. तो फर्स्ट डिवीजन जो हमारा है वो थैलोफाइटा है, that is not have differentiated body part. Okay, then the second one is the character that have differentiated body parts. अब इसके अंदर भी हम दोबारा से किस चीज पे क्लासिफाई करेंगे? हम क्लासिफाई करेंगे whether the vascular tissues are present or not. Vascular tissue means the vascular bundle, the xylem and phloem. So without vascular tissue, bryophyta, this is the second division, and with vascular tissue, the third division is there, that is pteridophyte, that is not unable to produce seeds. Then some of the plants with well-developed vascular tissues produce seeds that may be naked or that may present inside the fruit. So according to them, they are classified into gymnosperm and angiosperms. Gymnosperms that have the seeds that are naked, जो easily आप अपने आंखों से देख सकते हैं. whereas angiosperm इनके जो seeds होते हैं वो fruit के अंदर present होते हैं. Again, the angiosperm is classified into two, dicots and monocots. These are the two subdivision of division angiosperms. The dicots having two cotyledons, whereas the monocot having one cotyledon. So, in our next class, we are going to read the characteristics of these different divisions. So, in this video, what we have learned the various system of classification, that is natural, artificial, phylogenetic, then numeric taxonomy, cytotaxonomy, and chemotaxonomy. Then we have studied what is the difference between the artificial, natural, and the phylogenetic system of classification. Then we have studied what are the common characteristics of kingdom plant, and we have also studied on which basis we are going to classify the kingdom plant into different divisions.